Y'all, welcome back to Kentucky Fried Wargaming. We're two guys who aren't qualified to talk about anything, decided to talk about a game with hard math and chance. I'm Joe.
I'm John.
And on this episode, we are following up on our year-end tradition that, honestly, John and I quite look forward to at this point, where we take a break from sort of topical releases and just have a little chat here as we're almost at New Year. At time of release, we might be about to hit New Year. And that is like the state of the channel, I guess, as we have called it. Or we look back at the year that we've had and talk about what felt good, what maybe hasn't, and at the end, talk about maybe what we're looking forward to next year. Because, I don't know, I find in the day-to-day, some stuff just gets lost in the middle, and it's a nice time to sort of look back for a minute.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes we have a fun moment where we're just like, oh yeah, we forgot we did this fundamental thing 8 months ago. That felt like years. That was 8 months ago.
That was eons ago. But first, hobby time and games played. Alright, John, you don't have to go back 8 months for this one, but what have you been up to?
Well,
actually, no,
yesterday,
never mind. What have you been up to 8 months ago? What was your hobby progress from 8 months ago, John? What were you working on 8 months from this second?
I have no idea. I can't tell you. I can tell you that I did more hobby this year than I did previously. Things like this Conquest League have helped that. We did the Conquest League day. That was fun. Had a great time. Game is really fun. Really enjoy it. Met a bunch of cool people. Played a bunch of cool games. Definitely starting to get more of a feeling of what the game actually is. And like what's good, what's bad about it. Things that are like positives and negatives. Because everything has positives and negatives. But overall, had a great time. Can't wait to play again next month. Gonna keep working on stuff. And I have been working on stuff. Worked on Blooded, worked on Braves, about to work on Warbred, worked on Psionic Conquest. Worked on Cruel Boys, worked on all sorts of stuff. Started reading the Angron book that came out last year. Just lots of stuff. Really debating playing Rogue Trader as hobby progress, because that's just lore research, right?
I don't believe that's quite hobby progress, John. I like building minis, absolutely hobby progress. Even organizing your station, sure, hobby progress. Why not? 3D printing, sure, hobby progress. I don't think playing video games is quite hobby progress.
We'll let the listeners decide. I think they get more of a say than you do.
The listeners might also want to be able to just call their video game playing hobby progress. Our editor wants to be able to call Hunt Showdown hobby progress. That doesn't make it hobby progress.
That's true.
I will acknowledge the others. Yeah, Rogue Trader does look fun. It's just, I saw some reviews that were like, it's a little buggy at release. That's expected, I guess. So I would recommend holding off a minute and then just like circle them back. Because it does look like it's going to be a really fun game, especially if you're already up to date on like not World of Warcraft, on Warhammer lore.
You said video games and started thinking of World
of Warcraft.
Immediately,
Immediately, that's what my brain filled in. Yeah. Which is so odd. I haven't played World of Warcraft in years.
That's a fat lie. Like, you played it like 8 months ago.
Was that 8 months? Did I try Dragonflight 8 months ago? It was when Dragonflight came out. I tried it. Not for long, but I tried it. Is that your whole hobby progress? You played one Conquest Day, even though you know you're lying, and we did a second 2 Conquest Days last week.
Oh, that's true. We actually did do 2 Conquest Days. Listen, some of these episodes are blended together.
I played 3 Conquest Days.
I've played like 10 games of Conquest in like a month. It's just amazing. I'm playing another one when I'm done recording. Like, it's gonna be great.
It's a delightful time. I mean, for me, it's been largely the same. We had the 1K Conquest League literally yesterday. John and I were at the shop until 1 in the morning playing more game. and just like talking. Had like 2 games. It went good. Had a time. Got my butt kicked game 1. But like, I don't know. There are moments where you get like absolutely stomped, and there was little you could do about it that feel bad. And then some that are just like, ooh, that stings. But you didn't mean it, so it's cool. And this one was the second one, which I really appreciate. Like, it wasn't like a poopy moment. It just small point value games, they swingy. And
yeah, things sometimes, like when everything's swinging for the fences, it's just like something hits a soft spot and it just goes.
There with the whole game. Like, it happens. You just play through. We played it through. We saw the end of the game. I mean, it was instantaneously over. There was no more game to be played. But we got it through and then jumped into second game, and that one was shocking. Like, as unclose as the first one was. The second one was disproportionately, oppositely close. I mean, it went all the way to round 10, and we were neck and neck, and I won on points. And just barely at that. That was against 100 Kingdoms, which I had never fought before. But that was a really good close fight. He had a hell of an initial cavalry charge, but the clapback was just a little too much, and I was able to crumble him off of the points.
Yeah, I think of all of the Conquests I've played so far, I haven't even played against all the factions, but so far, the 2 ones that I think are the most honest of factions to play against has been Dwegon, which I played yesterday, and 100 Kingdoms. Like, playing against those, I look at them and I go, I know exactly what they're going to do on the tin. It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do that, and they do it really well. And that is a fun experience. But I really like that there's so many factions that don't play honest, and they kind of cheat, including me playing orcs. Like, I kind of cheat all the time. It's great.
Yeah, some of it feels a little weird to me, but like, I don't know. It's one of those things we'll have to circle back, because I want to wait to make like solid opinions until we are at like 2,000 point match play. Because like, if I made opinions today, I would have some like strong opinions that are backed up by like, at this point, over 10 games of Conquest, which ain't nothing. However, all of those games have been at like 1,000 points and under. And I highly, highly, highly suspect that things that currently feel absolutely insurmountably bent are going to feel different at 2K. Where the board is bigger, their mechanics are balanced differently, there's more models to be had, there's more terrain. Like,
it's like trying to review a video game with like 6 hours of playtime on a like Witcher 3 style game.
Yeah, it's too early. Some stuff does feel poopy at 1,000 points. Those opinions I could have, but like, I just want to play more game and like widen the knowledge base. Which is why like John and I last night, we just like stayed at the shop, played a third one. Why not? Knocked it out. And that's in addition to the last week's learner games.
Yeah, we're probably going to be playing more in the future too. Like, I have a feeling we'll probably be playing again before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to get ready for all of those games, I painted up my bow chosen, which I'm quite proud of. I think they came out looking pretty darn good. Every time I look at these minis, I go, I'm going to do a quick speed paint. I lie to myself, but I am enjoying the outcome. So why not like pump the brakes, smell the roses, paint them well? Especially for something like bow chosen, where I don't see myself having more than one unit of them. Might as well make that unit look pretty good if you're going to only build one. So that's felt pretty nice. I also went and found washers for the Conquest bases, which, holy crap, felt really good. It did take me a shameful amount of time, though. I spent a half hour in a Home Depot like hardware section on my phone with like a one tab open for their like magnet ready bases, so I could see the diameters of that like inner circle. And then one tab open to their infantry stand bases, so I could see the actual diameter of the base size holes in millimeters. And then one for their like brutes, and then another tab open for their monsters. And then a separate tab open for conversions between incremental inches to millimeters. and like jumping back and forth to try to figure out what size diameter inner hole washers versus entire washer diameters I would need to like fit in the bases well and still be weighty, but not like too cored out in the middle.
Why didn't you just like bring bases with you?
That was the plan, and then I just forgot them, and like my brain fully, totally forgot them, and my brain went, "You don't have to stop at the store today. Like you're out and about, but like you could just wait." And I went, "Nah,
no."
So I just started doing conversions and guessed. Answer 3/8 inch washers that total are just under an inch wide. That's the key for the infantry bases. Worked out pretty well. And then I glued those onto all the infantry stands. And what do you know? The games felt much better when the models had some heft and like can like slide the stands around pretty easy. And the magnets, like, oh buddy, do they like turbo grip really, really well to those flared washers.
Super grippy magnets.
Hey, I don't want to have to worry about models going flying. So I'm into it. And secondarily, now I am getting ready to paint up the next big old bundle of minis that I'm going to need for next month's games, because I am sure they're going to be here before I know it. And I don't want to just paint like the bare minimum for the league to like get my little bonus point. I want to try to paint my entire 1500 list by then. Well, so we'll see how that goes. I hope it goes fairly well. I've also been listening to the Horus Heresy Siege of Terra novels because I'm behind and it's killing John slowly.
It is true. Like I am waiting for the End of the Death Part 3, and they announced the art book like yesterday for the Horus Heresy that I desperately want. It's so pretty. And I can't because this motherfucker won't read the goddamn book.
So it's like a mini present to John. I'm just listening to like 32 hours or something of novel.
Thank you. I thank you for your service.
In a short stint. I don't want to be here.
Are you sure? Because you keep quoting the book at me regularly.
So much. I'm almost to the halfway point of the End in the Death Part 1, I think. Somewhere like there, or maybe a third. It's so long. But I am getting there. So that's hobby progress. I'm counting it. I'm learning lore.
I mean, I'll count it.
Learning lore.
And
apparently it's big lore. So, alas, I'm going to need to know it for when we inevitably do tinfoil hat videos.
Yeah. You will.
Although I don't want to jump into like talking about the future too much, because this episode is really about looking back. Play the music. All right, John. This one's unhinged.
Yeah?
I love these episodes.
We're knee deep.
What happened to you? The moment I in any episode mention, "Hey John, you have any little amount of leeway," you just go, "Ah."
Unfortunately, it's because I keep thinking about that quote from you of the stealing your fish and choking the chicken.
Fish and chicken.
Fish and chicken.
Yeah, we are fans of not doing like scripts, like hardcore scripts in general, because I just think they kill the fun and some of the flow. But normally we at least have a sort of outline that kind of just has rough topics to jump between. But here it's almost nothing. Like we're flying without a parachute. There's no net, like the Grayson parents. So like generally speaking, I think we have to start looking backwards, like the hobby for the year. So this past year for hobbying, how have you felt about it for the year of 2023?
For hobby, I've just done more. Like I think my painting has improved this year. I've tried new tactics. I've tried new stuff I'm doing. And overall, I've just improved. And I've gotten more models done this year than I did the year before. And last year I got more models done than the year I did before that. And at a higher quality. So I'm really just sort of pushing that envelope.
Mm-hmm.
And I plan on improving that even more. Painting different systems has really helped. Painting different scales has really helped. And really diversifying the armies in which I'm painting helps. And I've kind of come to terms with the fact that I really don't like playing an army or painting an army where everything looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
I need to paint different stuff throughout while painting it, which is weird because I play like Guard.
Which looks almost entirely the same, but like that's beside the point.
But at least I can do that while listening to like a World War II documentary or something.
I mean, okay, that's true. Like I can't deny that.
But overall, pretty good. Enjoying it. Really, I think like my big hobby thing knock out of the park, like that's been good for me, is those Michaels brushes. Switching to those Michaels brushes, really just like the number one thing for me this year.
Right? Like it's the best $10 you are going to spend on your hobby effort and your hobby budget. They're so affordable, especially if you just like, you don't even have to clean them hard. Like they're not sable brushes, they're synthetic, but like any amount of maintenance and cleaning, they are going to last you forever. Mine last me over a year each. And again, they're my workhorses too. So like I abuse the crap out of them. And they still just keep going. Contrast paints and stuff still keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, similarly, I don't know, I feel like I have done far more than I normally do in the average hobby year. Now, granted, like 2022 was just like a rough year for me personally. There was a lot going on. So like, of course, there wasn't as much hobby there. But earlier in the year, I got diagnosed with ADHD. Now I'm medicated. And that has done a lot for my life, like in general, to just make stuff better. But in the hobby space, it has made it far, far easier to just like keep chugging and do the things I want to do. And not just in a way of like, I'm gonna knock it out, but I have the ability to just like do the things I want to do, and I have also the ability to take my time on them when I want to. Mm-hmm. Whereas that wasn't always the case before. Like, sometimes I would want to spend more time on a mini, and I would just like rush it to completion anyway to meet some like nebulous deadline. And now I've been just sort of giving myself the leeway to like slow down, smell the roses, enjoy myself a little bit. And even with that, I still got a lot more hobby done. Like, it's more hobby and what I would consider for myself higher quality hobby for like what I'm capable of putting out. And that just feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Just generally feels good. And then I guess looking back on the year of like, I'm trying to think of mile markers that we've had. And I think like for me, one of the big ones is 10th edition's release. Like,
yeah, I think
that happened this summer and that was huge. Like we had a big JoeHammerCon release weekend where we played Warhammer for 4 days straight, 5 days.
Yeah, we played like 12 games of Warhammer each, something like that. Like nuts. It was a nuts amount. We played so much 10th edition, like back to 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 back. And then on top of that, we were like, hey, what's up? We're going to make like 26 videos back to back to back. Let's just go. Like, we were recording every day of the week at one point. Like, we were just like, hey. And like, we got a bunch of new people from that. A lot more viewers, a lot of stuff, which was neat. We like got to talk to a lot more people about these games that we really love. And it was very fun. But boy, howdy, it was making 26 videos without any sort of like advance notification on stuff.
There's no ability
like
to prep.
Impossible. Yeah, like I think that was the thing we really like saw this year, was like the clear delineation between like our channel and just being always late to everything, because we just don't do it full time, and also we just don't have the access that some other people get. Like, some people get a codex like 2 weeks before it hits the stores. We'll be lucky if we get it a week after release. Like,
yeah, there's something to that. I don't know. Like, I look back, and one of the big standouts for me is the weekend of us playing 10th edition, because it was just great. Like, it was a bunch of people hanging out for days playing Warhammer.
It felt like when I think of good times in the hobby, it's what I think about, right? It's like, And to a degree, it felt like we were sharing it with the listeners too, because we were talking about our experience with it. Of like, we weren't going to tournaments. We weren't like going to a shop and playing like randos. We were like having a barbecue with like 8, 9 dudes all playing this new edition that none of us knew anything about, and just being like having a good time. Like, yeah, game. Like just a ton.
It was incredible. Like, it's truly like very thankful for it. It was a great time, and it stands out in my brain. And like right now, I feel a little stale on 10th. Like, they pushed out the indexes, which felt good at first, but a lot of them, they're just sort of one note by design. There's like one way to play some of those indexes. For example, if your index is orcs, the only benefit you're getting is to punch, which makes it kind of hard to like flex around and do a lot of list stuff with that army. And that's the case for multiple indexes, which makes it feel a little stale for me. So I am less interested to continue playing 10th because I've already done quite a bit, and it doesn't feel like I have a lot of flexibility to like experiment. Orcs, Custodes, for example, just not a lot of flex there. So I'm sort of less inclined to play 10th at the moment. This spring, I know they're putting out codexes and stuff, and maybe that'll like inject some new life into it. So I'm a little colder on 10th on the back end of the year, but like, man, that release felt cool, even like despite the problems.
Yeah. And I think that like when we get more stuff, it will feel better. We just need more stuff. Like it does. That is like a side effect of release schedule. I'm probably going to have to deal with that this year with AOS over the summer, of like when you have a release like that and then go, oh yeah, here you go, play this game with very minimal rules for like 8 months.
Yeah.
It just kind of sucks, especially if you're one of the factions you don't get an update pretty quickly. Like if you don't play Space Marines, you're kind of in a weird spot right now. If you don't play Necrons, AdMech, Tyranids, you're kind of like, oh, what do I do? What do I do?
Well, and at least like a lot of my books are looking to get a codex here, like sometime in spring to summer. But if you're one of the books that isn't getting one for the foreseeable future, you might have to wait for like 2+ years after release to get a codex. And I can't imagine playing some of those really restrictive indexes for that long.
Yeah. That's why there's a current rumor going around that, and I think it's because one of the GW people were talking about it in a recent game, like Warhammer community thing, that the next January like rules update isn't just going to be like points, but also rules. And I'm hoping that's the case. Like, I'm hoping that means that some folks get some new stuff. Because I think, especially for some of the books that, like, aren't on the schedule yet, that, like, clearly aren't getting anything till, like, late summer, early fall.
At the earliest.
At the earliest.
Yeah.
Like, are probably sitting here going, like, wow, I don't know what I'm going to do. And the answer can't always just be play a different army. Like, for a lot of people, they play one army. Like, they just need something to engage with. I know.
It's a little rough. But it is like a huge mile marker for the year. And I will remember the release of it forever. Like, it is a thing. What about AOS-wise? Like, that's usually the other, like, constant for our gaming group. How did you feel about AOS for the year?
So for AOS for the year, I enjoyed it. I think there's some issues with the current game, but overall, I think it's mostly in a better place than 40K. I enjoy playing it. I'm hoping it's clear that like some of the 40K design choices they've made have been from AOS 2, like third edition, which is really good. I really like that. But some of the things that aren't working for me in AOS are things like the battle tactics, the grand strategies, like the battle packs themselves they're very, very dense, extremely dense. Like they change so much of the game that it becomes abundantly difficult to introduce this game to new people. It becomes abundantly difficult to play the game because, like, sure, I can use the core rulebook battle pack, but all of the points updates are based around the new battle pack. All of the updates to the game and FAQs are bounced around the new battle pack. And some of these battle packs are like 7 or 8 additional pages of rules on a game. And those are not like easy rules either. They're like entire systems. They're not like, oh, look at these battle tactics. Yeah. And then on top of that, like the games are often decided by battle tactics, not missions or like how you're playing the game. Oftentimes I have had games end where they were very close and they were entirely determined off the fact that like my book has bad battle tactics and your book has good battle tactics, which doesn't feel good. It feels like you're fighting against a stream that is outside of your control, not against an opponent who is outplaying you. Which isn't very good. Also, I think Mortal Wounds needs looked at in AOS. Like, it just keeps popping up. It just keeps popping up as an issue of like things can pump out too many of them, or things can ignore so many of them, or like it just pops stuff off the table. Like, it's been a thing. But overall, I think that like the releases for AOS have been flavorful as hell.
Yeah.
The models have been killer. Like Flesh Eater Courts, killer models. All of the Warcry warbands, killer models. All like pretty much every new faction that got models this year was great. Even stuff that like I didn't expect for them to release. Like they released an actual good Fire Slayers.
I know. I can't believe I looked at a Fire Slayers kit and went, "Wow, that's a well-designed mini."
Yeah. There's so many goofy little guys too. Like there's a little egg dude for Cruel Boys, just like stole that egg. Oh, I got an egg. Like it's so good.
It's delightful. It's delightful. I will second you on like a lot of the game just feeling good currently, and the new minis obviously being incredible. Like I similarly have some frustrations with like battle tactics. They just feel a little rote, a little predictable. You know, like one of the things I like about 10th is the way that you randomly draw secondaries, which kind of injects a little bit of like fun chaos into your game plans.
Yeah.
In AOS, I feel like I know exactly what my battle tactic rotation is going to be almost every game. Because it's that predictable that I don't have to really think on the fly very much. If at all, in some matches. It's all like we line up on the board across from an opponent, and I go, I know all 4 turns, and we'll see how 5 looks.
Yeah. Like, it's just a weird balancing lever to have inside of a game. Like having those in each codex means codexes are judged not based off of the units they have, but what battle tactics they have.
Just feels weird. Feels weird.
Yeah.
I prefer the random sort of injections of, you've got to do this thing you weren't planning on. And then, oh God, I got to do that thing. How am I going to make that thing happen? Okay. I have an idea. And then you see if you can pull it off. And like, I get why some people wouldn't like it. Some people dislike randomness like that. They prefer the rote automatic thing. It's just preference. I prefer a little bit of chaos.
But I like that, like, how 40K does the thing where, like, you can just choose to make it static. You can just make them static. You have less potential for points, but it's less static. You can more reliably secure it. And it seems to work out pretty well for folks.
Yeah, if you go in with the plan, that's entirely true. And then I think on the AOS front, like looking back, I did some Beast of Chaos, and I think they look good. But like for me, the army project of the year that I'm like most proud of is the Lumineth, more than likely, because that one's just got like a whole bunch of hang-ups for me. That was like more than just painting a mini.
Yeah, I really think like Lumineth for you is like the crowning point of the year of you like accepting and playing a tricky faction. And accepting and playing a faction that like really is sort of your vibe, and then doing very well with it and being okay with doing very well with it. Especially when sometimes that faction can be seen as like NPE. But most of that NPE is gone now. So it's pretty good. And similarly, I've started shifting my style more towards that. Like I historically have been like the Skaven and like Smashy player, and I still do a lot of like Smashy and Horde stuff, a lot of games. But I've started branching out to playing like trickier stuff and really pushing myself to be a better player and a more clever player. And I think that's been engaging and fun. We've had a couple of really, really close games where like it was really down to a couple of rolls. Like it wasn't down to like, I made a kerfuffle here. They were like, oh no, but this was 100% like 2 or 3 dice rolls. Boom.
Could have turned the entirety of a game because the margin is just that small. Like,
yeah, which feels great. Like those feel like great games.
Those are good losses. Like those are the losses that you go, damn, I enjoyed that, and you learn stuff out of those. And I at some point, like you just kind of got to tackle your own stuff, and this was the year of like, I should tackle things. And I got to do it with like a cool 3D printed army that looks like more unique for me. So 10 and 10. That's not entirely painted. I think it's sitting at 1,600 points painted right now, roughly. But getting that army painted and to such a high quality, because again, I was supposed to speed paint it and then just didn't. Feels good. And I'm going to remember that one for quite a while. And then, I don't know, like as I look back and I was trying to think of just like the things that stand out as mile markers, like AOS and stuff stands out. Obviously 40K 10th edition stands strong, especially in summer because that's when it was released. But looking at the tail end of the year, for me, like the standout has been Conquest, and like for me in the hobby.
Yeah, Conquest for sure. We've played other games on the show. Like we've played like A Song of Ice and Fire. We've played. You've played a lot of Legion.
Yep.
What other games? There's other ones. We just haven't talked about them yet.
I don't think we talked about Malifaux on the show. I don't think we talked about BattleTech on the show. I don't think we talked about Silver Bayonet on the show. Maybe very briefly.
Or Rain in Hell. Like we played that. But like all of these games were like super fun to play or try once or twice or whatever. But like I said, I played like 10 games of Conquest in like a month. And I want to play more. Like I'm trying to play another one tonight maybe. Like I'm playing them during the week if I can. I'm playing them on weekends when I can. Like I'm doing what I can to play more Conquest in general. Just because it's a good time. It's a good game. I think there's a lot of things we're going to talk about later about it, but like initially it's just a very gamey sort of game. Like it feels like 2008 wargaming, but like with a modern feel to it. It's very good.
It does feel a little crunchy. And while I am enjoying the hell out of it, it's one of those things that I would be a little more careful about recommending it to other people though, because of that fact. Just to like really make sure they know what they're getting into. Because it's more tactical, it's more crunchy, it's more thinky. But I think for the people who are into that flavor, boy howdy, Conquest is great. And I'm enjoying the minis, I'm enjoying the strategy, I'm enjoying learning, and so much of my hobby time has gone into Conquest. And I've been playing AOS and 40K for years and do not have a fully painted army. Excuse me. Tired, apparently. I don't have a fully painted army in either of those games. I might end up with a fully painted army in Conquest.
Yeah.
Like, just might. And that, I think, is the most glowing recommendation I could give about it. How quickly we found it, tried it towards the end of the year, and then dove in head first and are, like, not just, oh, yeah, I tried it, now I've burnt out of it, and I'm leaving. But
yeah,
we have put an immense amount of time in. We've done a ton of hobbying. We've done a ton of demos. We've done a ton of learning. And instead of going, I think I'm ready to put this down for a minute. I just want more. That's incredible. And it, like, for me, that's like the cap to the year. That's like the cherry on top of everything. Like looking through the holiday season is like Conquest.
Yeah.
And if that's all sort of like hobby stuff, how do we feel about the show for the past year? Like, obviously, people are listening to us on a podcast. Like, they are here, presumably. If you're not here for the show, I don't know what you're here for. Like, how you're here for the show? Are we here for the show? Like, how do we feel? Because boy, howdy, we've done a lot.
Yeah, we've done a lot this year, and I really enjoy the show. And obviously, we're going to keep going. Like, it's great. It's fantastic. We started doing videos, which is really great. We've been pushing like our quality up, which has been really great. It feels really good.
Our mugs. We added our mugs to the show.
Yeah, you can see our faces. I'm sorry.
Apologies. I didn't mean to just be wearing like a comfy Henley, but it's cold, and so I'm actually not sorry. It's cold.
It is what it is. You know, we've met some of the people that like have seen the show in person, like at game stores or like at things we've gone to. Which has been cool. Like, that's been fun.
A little wild. It breaks my brain, if I'm being honest. Like,
yeah. To be like, oh yeah, you like saw me on YouTube before you like saw me at an event. That's cool. It's just unique and interesting to get used to. But I want to do more of it. Like, I'm gonna meet more people that listen to the show. Like at game stores and stuff. That'd be great. Obviously, I want to see more people get to the show. I want to see us improve. Like, I want to see the thing as a whole and like just keep going. Because something I love about the show, and I think a lot of listeners have commented it or reached out in messages, is that we really try to stay casual. Like, a lot of this isn't super scripted. A lot of this isn't like, oh, what is going to be best for the algorithm? Like, we're like, no, like, we're just going to do two dudes talking on the show.
Mm-hmm.
We don't make money from this. We're just talking, having a good time. And I think trying to capture more of that and having more people show up and be like, yeah, we like that. Makes it a lot easier to come in every week and do more.
Rather than thinking about it too much. You just kind of like do what's natural. And I feel like we've really, especially with like, you know, y'all out there listening, just like giving us the words of, you know, sometimes I just want a paint chat while I'm working on a hobby of some sort. You know, I want to have like a little, have it feel like I'm sitting down for a talk with my buds when I can't sit down and like have a relaxing talk with my buds. Like that. Yeah. It sucks. It's hard, man. Like, life is fast paced. It's hard to get people together, especially in person. Like, it's just tough. And you know, if we can help make that feel better and for you to like get some piece of that, some amount of comfort, some chuckles, like it's great. And like, looking back on it this year, that was one of our big pushes, was like, we just really want to follow our interest rather than try to like just push an algorithm. And I feel like doing that led us to that feel. And looking back, it's one of the things I'm more proud of show-wise, is that, you know, earlier on we made the decision, let's just do what feels fun and that like our brains want to talk about, and hopefully people like it, I guess. And I think that has worked out well, and it feels better to make it, just like from our end. Also, I'm pretty proud of the consistency of the show. Hopefully y'all out there are enjoying having more episodes. I mean, now we are putting an episode out a week. That's
between podcasts and lore, there's at least something coming out every week.
So we've doubled production over the course of the year, which is like incredible. We wanted to try to step it up a little. I do not think we anticipated it going this well. And like, that is just as much like in the laps of Seth and Tanner, who like audio and video edit for us. Like, that is just as much their win as ours. But huge show win. Really proud of the entire team. It's been so much work, and I hope it is paying off for y'all out there and having more fun getting to listen. Really though, if I'm like the big push, looking at the last year, God, it says 10th edition faction focuses.
Yeah, that was a challenge.
That was a trial by fire.
We ended up enjoying it, I think, by the end.
You had to say, I think.
I think.
That was loaded.
There's a few times during like our weekday sessions where we get home from work and then start recording, where we both realize, like, wow, this really sucks. Like, I don't want to do this right now.
We are in
we
the
could do
trenches.
this for like 4 days.
Yeah, it's true. For us to record this, we would have to like go to work 9 hours, and that's not including the commute. Come home, try to cram all of like the house chores into like 1 hour, scarf down food as fast as possible, and then we would record for like 5 hours per night.
Yeah, because we had a very short time window to get it done that we gave ourselves, just because there was a lot. And then, like, we hit the weekend and would be like, Saturday morning, make some coffee, sit down, make an episode. And it was, the vibes were immaculate. Even after 6 straight days of doing stuff, we were just like, oh, this feels so good. Why didn't we just do this?
Why did we do it during a weekday? Oh, yeah, because we wanted people who were new players to, like, have something to go off of. That wasn't, here's the best tournament list for every faction. Like, if you're just a reasonable person wanting to pick up this game, we wanted to have stuff for you. So we wanted it
And now
fast.
they're, like, mostly out of date.
Yeah.
Like, we're just like... Because GW just like, hey, what's up? Fuck you. Like,
we put in, like, 40 hours of recording time. All to, like, most of it to be invalidated in 6 months. What a delight.
it is what it is.
Yeah, it was rough for us. Lord knows it was rough on, like, the editors who were, like, the other members of the team, Seth and Tanner. We were zombies by the end of it. Just zombies. But it did feel way better to not have to go to work beforehand. That was quite cool.
Turns out that helps.
Who knew? Who knew? I'm quite proud of the 10th handling. We got it done so fast, we were keeping up with Auspec's tactics. Do you know how hard you have to grind to keep up with Auspec's tactics?
Man's a machine.
I don't know.
Like, he lives and breathes this game. I don't think he sleeps.
I'm absolutely convinced there is like a HDMI cable running from his brain to his tower. And he just makes slideshows through thought process alone. He's mental commanding PowerPoint to open up and then just fill in pictures. I'm absolutely certain of it. I love that for him. It's the first time in my life I ever hit upload and then looked and saw him upload the same thing at the same time. That's how I knew we were doing it. It was great. I then also slept for what felt like eons after that.
It's true. We got a little slap happy. I think at one point was because like behind the scenes, y'all, you didn't get to see some of this. There's some episodes we recorded that we just re-recorded because we didn't actually record them on both the video and the audio. Or like, I distinctly remember being so sleepy that I went to go drag into drive and just went delete. I was like, no.
Metal Gear Solid snake playing in the background.
And then I had to just like unmute my mic and go, Joe, I apologize. John, why are you apologizing? John, what did you do? I deleted it. What do you mean you deleted it?
Check your recycling bin.
Nope, it's not there. Why? I auto delete everything on my recycling bin. Why would you do that? What is wrong with you?
Well, I delete things and I auto empty the recycling bin. That's 2 things right there. God, yeah, what a time. What a time. And I remember we were getting to the end of it, and my gift to myself was when we were done, is I went on a nice motorcycle cruise to go buy myself a little box of minis. And like, I remember cruising back home on an almost dead highway, like at sunset, and I was just like, I'm exhausted, and this is peak fulfillment. It was a delight. And boy howdy, I would be happy to do it again. If we could not cram as hard, that would be cool. In this case, we didn't get the PDF drops until we got them, so like there was nothing we could do. But
yeah, and like I think a lot of it wasn't even necessarily when we got the PDF drops. It's that like GW themselves didn't release when the release of them were gonna be till like a week before. So, like, we didn't know when stuff was actually coming for 10th edition until, like, a week before it came out. Like, with an actual date. So we just knew 10th edition was coming, so we tried to prepare as much as we could, but there's only so much you can do until you know the actual format you're going to follow.
Mm-hmm. So, and then we just kind of cleared our schedules for...
Which was hard to do without a date.
Yeah, luckily everyone was very great. My wife is incredible, and like for that week, she did pretty much everything in the house other than the absolute worst of the yard work, which I just like half-assed my way through in a blink of an eye before jumping online. And that was the only way that was even remotely possible. So like, big shout out to them. Wonderful, wonderful. Other show stuff. Oh, we did lore stuff this year. First time doing lore videos.
Yeah, we did lore stuff. That was super cool. We're still doing lore stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna keep doing lore stuff. Like, it's great.
Yeah, full transparency. The lore is my favorite thing to talk about by far. Sometimes it requires a bit more work, but from my end, I am always interested in like stories and lore and background fluff, and being able to share that is just the best, most fun form of like making a video for me. It's the least work thing that like we could talk about, especially for factions that I'm super into.
Yeah, but it's really hard when it's stuff that we're not super jazzed about.
Yeah, that's why you're not seeing a whole bunch of lore about like the
AdMech.
I like some AdMech things, but I can't talk about the AdMech thing I like without spoiling Echoes of Eternity. So I just won't talk about it. I just won't.
We'll talk about it later on our Echoes of Eternity podcast, where we just talk about Echoes of Eternity.
Is there going to be 20
like
minutes of just
episodes.
like crying into a microphone every episode?
Each chapter gets its own episode where we break down each chapter and are just like, oh yes, this part, it brings me back to this thing that happened in like feudal Japan or whatever.
God, like I've never wanted to cry over a broken radio, a handful of bullets, and a pebble so badly in my life. But here we are. It's so good. It's so good.
That was my monkey.
I will not discuss it. I will not discuss it at all. We can't be out here crying on Maine, John. They can't know we're sad.
I'll be crying in Maine. Just get me a ticket.
It's not that far of a drive. I say the most like Kentucky thing. The most like Midwestern thing ever. Like we could just drive there. Okay, fine. Florida dude does want to drive. So like, okay. Last bit. Looking into next year. What are we excited about? Show or otherwise? Both. Both is fine.
There's so much that like I can go on and hear about, but like I'm just gonna start from the top. The thing I know we are going to talk about a ton next year, and I'm going excited to do a bunch of stuff with next year just in general, and that is Conquest. It's a good time. Like I like it. I want to make stuff for it. I think the lore is interesting. I think the game is interesting. I think the models are interesting. I think the mechanics are interesting. Want to talk more about Conquest. I want to do more stuff around Conquest. I've been having a good time playing the game with folks, and really like this league that we've been part of has been a great like community experience with like lots and lots of people getting together to play this game in a way that doesn't feel poopy. It feels great. Watching interactions with the actual like game developers on their Discord been great. Watching their streams has been great. It doesn't feel extremely corporate. It feels extremely like a game and like a community of people who really like playing a game. And really just want to tackle more Conquest stuff in the future. That's my big thing for next year is Conquest.
Yeah, similarly for me, like off the rip, I'd like spoiler alert, y'all. But I have really enjoyed Conquest. Like in terms of the show, like obviously it's gotten a lot of engagement. People are very active in like the comment sections and stuff, and I love that. But like also in my personal hobby time, it's just been something that I have really looked forward to. And every time I go to like paint any of the minis, I'm just excited to sit down and finish them. And that's that's rare, and I really appreciate that feeling. Um, and 40K and AOS are kind of like mainstays for not just our group, but the channel. It's games that we just play long term. And there have been games that have been really fun and we have talked about. But I don't know if I at any point was like, man, this could be one of the big ones, rather than just, I like this game. Conquest, in like full transparency, feels like it could be one of the big ones. Truly. And when I read Conquest lore and I look at their world and I look at the company and how Parabellum engages with their community and their players, this game to me feels like a passion project, rather than just a thing that was, pumped out because it's basic fantasy that's easy. This is a game that obviously is a passion project of like some number of people who were super, super into the idea of fleshing this world out in unique and interesting ways. And then just trying to push that to people in the most honest, straightforward ways they can. And that sort of passion, I can't help but want to share with more like community members at large. Especially because there doesn't seem to be a lot of creators talking about it. And for whatever reason, our vibe seems to be what at least a fair amount of Conquest people want.
Yeah, like I see interactions between people talking about Conquest, and it's generally people going, man, I really want to play game. Games sound fun. Perfect. And on top of that, like, there's just, like, not a lot out there for it, which is a shame, because genuinely good. I think there's a lot of good stuff to talk about. And if you're super into Conquest, tell us what you would like to see more of.
Please.
Content-wise. Like, we are looking for the stuff that people are looking for, and we will make it. Like, if it's work, we'll do it. I mean, we made 26 faction-focused videos that got, like, removed. No, not removed, but, like...
Many of them are invalid now.
Invalid at, like, 6 months after. Like, we will sit there and crank out stuff for y'all. We will make stuff. We just gotta know what y'all want. Because for me, like, that's the other thing I'm really looking forward to next year is reaching out with more people, like getting to know more people, more like comments, more messages, more just everything. Being able to like talk to folks and be like, hey, what's up? Like more community in-person stuff with these games. Be great.
Are you reading my notes? I feel like you're reading my notes.
Unfortunately, we do this together and have for like 3 years now, so we just are becoming the same person slowly.
Yeah. I think it's just we're fusion dancing our way together. Because that was, I mean, I don't have pierced ears. I don't know how we're going to do the fusion dance, but we'll try to make it happen. Because my next note is for the coming year, like just for my own personal focus. Like I just want to try to like deepen the connections with folks. Both locally at like games and stuff, but also online. There's a lot of people who are very cool in the comments and stuff, and we get Instagram messages. Which like I do feel bad about because I forgot Instagram Messenger existed for a while. So like Rich, I'm gonna respond to Rich, and it's gonna be a colossal wave of text. And Rich, if you're listening, I apologize in advance because I'm gonna break that character limit. Like message does on Instagram and stuff. And like, I don't know, I enjoy that deeply. And it's one of like the highlights of the year is just like getting very honest, appreciative messages from people. And I just want to keep trying to like make that happen. If we could help people who are going through it and just like, man, you can get a little sense of comfort from like these goofy jokes, like with chickens and fish. Who would I be to like not try to help give people that? Like what? It'd be a shame to miss that opportunity. And maybe through that, get to play more games consistently.
Yeah.
To like bring cool people together who might not otherwise ever meet each other. And I'm not saying like we're gonna run like a big league or anything or like a big tournament and have people like come in. Like, but maybe try to organize little mini get together or something. Who knows? But I just want to, for my own personal goals, try to like reach out and keep connecting people and push a little harder. Because this year I feel like I was super successful with trying to hobby consistently, regardless of like what's happening. Because last year it got blown up for me just because of life, and I really wanted to try to come back strong. And I think I was very successful at it, looking at the year. And I think next year, instead of focusing on just hobbying consistently, I want to try to push harder to play consistently.
Yeah.
Which, like, easier said than done in a lot of ways. But I think it's a worthwhile challenge to try to tackle.
And it'll probably make the painting consistently easier because you'll be playing it. Like, when you play with your toys, you want to work on your toys.
It's true. At least for me, that's exactly how that sort of, like, motivation flows. Some people, they could just, like, paint forever and never need to play the army, and y'all are superheroes. Like, that is not how my brain works. Although I guess we talked about the diagnosis earlier, so of course that's not how my brain works. Yeah, it's great. Also, next year I'm hoping I'm so busy in my deer blind that I'm not freezing and bored taking bad, funny Kentucky Fried Wargaming Instagram posts and sending them to our group. Because I saw nothing, so I just made bad jokes. So that's a little mini goal for next year. It's like me reading a rule book for a tabletop war game on top of my deer rifle in a blind. Because nothing happened. So I was very cold and read rules for like 3 weeks.
Oh, that's great. Love that for you. That seems perfect. What's your favorite activity?
Being cold or reading rules?
Being cold.
The cold part was okay. Rules I struggle with, but we got there. And then, I don't know, I guess show-wise, I like the speed, but I think the show goal for me is to try to make it feel a little easier. Like, as we mentioned, with the 26 video thing, we got it done, and we made it happen. But it felt titanically difficult to make it happen. Now we're putting out videos weekly, and it's great. It feels good. But it's difficult to get there. Trying to get the process together, it's like 4 people working in concert. There's always going to be stuff that's hard, and sort of handing off stuff and picking it up and knowing what's where and communication and that sort of stuff. And I, in the next year, want to try to tackle that to make it feel a little better so that this all moves smoother. And maybe that means we put out better stuff. We put out better ideas. Maybe we're more fun, or it's just more, consistency has been good, but you know what I mean? Like, just all flows better rather than having to push it.
Yeah, like less effort. It's just a cool thing we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Because it just, you got a system. You know what you're doing. When you're doing it, it all just sort of rolls on through. And it keeps the vibe fun and fluffy. Because I think, honestly, that's what, like, especially looking at this year with, like, the North Star being just, what is fun for us? What is our interest? What do we just want to talk about rather than what I think the algorithm wants us to talk about? People have liked it a lot, and I think the number one thing we can do there to try to keep that fun for y'all is to keep it fun for us.
Yeah. Like, fun and fuck the algorithm.
Yeah. Like, there's something to that. And, like, as much as can be done for all of us here at Kentucky Fried Wargaming, like, behind the cameras and the editing bays, like, if we could just keep it fun and fresh, a little easier, I'd like to.
Yeah, just really kind of push stuff people want to see. Like, I don't want to make a bunch of gotcha videos or just like, hey, we're going to clickbait you into watching the thing that you don't really want to even really care about. And we're like, no, we want to make stuff you want to hear or you want to enjoy. Just throw it out there with stuff that we also enjoy. Like, we don't want to talk about stuff we don't like. Like, if you're like, hey, can you talk to us about like the competitive number stats of like all the Melta-Guns and for what Melta-Guns are best in what factions? Like, what's the best faction for Melta-Guns? We're probably going to be like, we think it's this and have no math to back it up.
I did the
Done.
basest calculations on my same calculator I've had for years.
Won't even do that. Just give you a vibe. Like, I'll just read all the rules and go, my vibe says this.
You're welcome.
Did you even play test games? No. Vibe.
I have used some of these melta-guns.
I play World Leaders. I don't.
Melta-gun? Ain't never heard no melter guns. Yeah, I can't be bothered to do like statistical competitive analysis. Maybe one day we will talk a little bit about some tournaments. And I think we will when we just go to a tournament. I don't think we're going to talk about it from a competitive perspective of like what was best. But like
that's the thing I'd like to do in 2024. I'd like for us two to go to a tournament. Probably for like Conquest because it's easier. But like I think going to a tournament for us would be great. If y'all are interested in us going to a tournament and seeing like us not review a tournament, that feels weird, but talking about our experience at a tournament, what kind of tournament you want us to go to? What do you think? Like, do you want us to go to your tournament? I don't know. Something. That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't feel like I'm a very like competitive, crouchy tournament person, but also I have heard people say that like, hey, tournaments aren't necessarily all that same way. So,
oh yeah, I'm gonna go with it, not wanting to win and just have a good time. Like,
yeah.
So if you're running a good time tournament, I'm down.
Rather than like going for like swinging for the fences at like some World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Looking at next year, I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to just keep the fun flowing and sharing our excitement with y'all. And I hope you're able to share your excitement with us too. Truly, it's some of the highlights of our year. Seeing some of the just incredibly kind words from y'all. Just like keep some of those way down here for the worst days. And it's delightful. And we're glad we could bring y'all that amount of comfort. And as always, please, if you have thoughts, if you have things you want to share with us, this doesn't have to be a one-way conversation. You know, you presumably had some sort of hobby year behind you that you're hopefully thinking about yourself as we talk through some of the ideas. For y'all out there, if you want to share what you did with your hobby this year looking back and what you're feeling kind of proud of, you want to flex a little bit, feel free. Instagram, now that I remember messengers exist, Rich, you're going to get something soon. Feel free to send them over and flex or what you're looking forward to trying to tackle next year, to set up a goal for yourself. We use the show as a way to kind of like keep ourselves accountable because obviously y'all are out there listening, but if we could help you do the same, happy to.
Mm-hmm.
Anything we can do to kind of like all of us help each other out here, I think, we oughta. For now, though, we're going to go chillax and probably play some more Conquest. Maybe like rip open some stockings, have some eggnog, watch some Christmas movies. And I hope y'all have a wonderful New Year and happy holidays for whatever you're celebrating out there. And from us at Kentucky Fried Wargaming, it's been all of our opinions bona fide and Kentucky Fried. We'll see y'all on the next one.